Yo, what is going on YouTube? It is your boy Jesus TV. We are back with another video, and we are here to start a brand new series, a part of the Dexter franchise, a part of the Dexterverse. We have Dexter Resurrections, the long-awaited sequel to New Blood, which was a sequel to the original series. Now, obviously, we watched the prequel series in Original Sin. That's still going on, and this show is planning on doing, I'm assuming, 10 episodes. There's already 3 out right now, and every Friday, obviously, they will drop a new episode. We're here to talk about episode 1. I honestly really want to get all 3 episodes done this week. Happy Gilmore 2 is coming out on Friday, so I do kind of want to watch that, considering like the first movie we reviewed on the channel and it was such a classic. But just kind of going over what happens in this episode. Dexter returns from a coma with the past haunting him. You know, he has all sorts of skeletons in the closet, all sorts of things he has to clean up from his past. Harrison's dark passenger is revealed in a brutal scene, and I love that they're starting this fucking early with Harrison's character. I think that is phenomenal. And the cat and mouse game begins as the hunt for Dexter and Harrison intensifies. You know, you kind of get introduced to these new characters that are going to be hunting these guys down, and that's pretty awesome. From the moment audiences learned about the show as a concept, fans have wondered how the iconic serial killer would be brought back seemingly from the dead due to his last appearance. However, Dexter Morgan is once again living and breathing and proving to be a threat to anyone who chooses to cross him. So glad he's back. I'm so glad Michael C. Hall took this over. It's amazing. The first episode of the show has set the tone for this version of the franchise as well, with A Beating Heart, which is the title of the episode, explaining how Dexter is back and what fans can expect from this series kind of moving forward. There's a lot to look forward to, man. We might as well just go ahead and get into it. I gotta make these videos kind of beefy, but at the same time, I don't want to be here long. I don't want to waste any of your guys' time. I know a lot of you guys are kind of like TikTok brain, kind of similar to what I am, to be honest. I mean, I can sit back and watch sports podcasts and stuff, but I understand you guys. I understand your struggle. Man, my beard's looking tough. I got that nice little lineup. I gotta start doing that more often. Obviously, Dexter returns from his coma with a nightmare. That's kind of like the big concept of this episode, is that he's back from a coma, he's back in the world, but his past is haunting him. Several familiar faces visit him. This show immediately starts where Dexter New Blood ended, showing him post-gunshot in the hospital, which is great. I love that they picked up right where we left off. 10 weeks later, he remains in a coma, and the series wastes no time in catching people's attention by delivering a trio of memorable cameos as ghosts from Dexter Morgan's life make themselves known. And there's obviously going to be a lot of fan service in the show, given that it's coming out years after the original, as well as New Blood. And yeah, the legacy characters coming back. Obviously, we didn't see Dokes in Original Sin. We might see him eventually, but hold us over, I guess, by putting him in this show. John Lithgow returns as the Trinity Killer to recap how his son has become a father killer, just like he was. He is then followed by Jimmy Smits as Miguel Prado as they recall their brief friendship, as Prado pointed out that Dexter ended up hurting others when he tried to be normal, with the likes of Deborah and Rita Morgan's graves being shown. I'm not gonna lie, I forgot that Deborah died for some reason. I knew Rita died. That was obviously an unforgettable scene from the original series, but man, and I kind of breezed over the Trinity Killer, but he is one of the most legendary characters in the show's history, and John Lithgow's fucking awesome, and seeing him return here was fantastic. Shout out to Miguel Prado as well. Pretty solid season involving those two, of course. Harry Morgan also returns as the importance of fatherhood continues to be driven, a theme set to be important to the entire show, and that's actually a theme that we kind of saw with Original Sin, with Harry Morgan kind of trying to grow as a father. Harry Morgan trying to make sure his son doesn't continue to go down this path too much, you know, use his dark passenger in the right way, and that road is going to be kind of followed in the next couple of seasons of that show. So now we kind of see Dexter, like, his son's getting in his adolescence years, he's kind of maturing a little bit, and he's wanting to really, like, experiment with this dark passenger and, I guess, kill people and the likes, and there's a lot, man. I got a lot to talk about here. I don't want to waste too much time just getting into specifics. However, like, the biggest surprise, you know, about fatherhood was saved until last, as James Dokes returns in a cameo that is sure to entertain fans. That was surprising to me. The most shocking aspect of this is that Dokes admits that he thinks there is some good in Dexter, urging him to go and find his son, kickstarting the plot of the entire season. Fucking awesome. This scene delivered some amazing callbacks to the past, while also explaining some critical key details to any new fans of the show. Some of the explanations are very obvious, but there's no doubt that old school fans will appreciate these scenes, and they provide some important backstory. Obviously, Harrison's dark passenger is revealed. He ends up channeling his father in an insane scene. Again, the way they start this out already is fucking insane. I love it. Harrison is going to be just like his dad. We know that from the way he killed him, tried to kill him, and like his sanity after that. We knew he was going down a dark path. While Dexter is busy dealing with demons from his past, audiences get to learn what his son Harrison has been doing with his life since he shot his father, kind of in like a Spider-Man morning routine style. Kind of reminds me of Peter Parker, honestly. It turns out he's taken a page out of his mother's life by working at the Empire Hotel specifically. I don't remember that. Harrison's getting on with life, making friends, and thriving at work, although he is homeless and living in empty rooms. He's not allowed to, but obviously he clocks out, and then he just fucking crashes in a room. However, as a trusted staff member, he's shown helping Ryan Foster, a flamboyant and flashy hotel guest who troubles Harrison with fixing his watch, although later on he provides him with a much bigger task. So we'll get into that. When Harrison bumps into Ryan later on, it is a much darker setting as he has a drugged female guest on his arm who he pretends is his wife, which Harrison knows to be untrue. They met in the hotel earlier that day, offered her to take her to dessert, and all this stuff. The slimy nature of Ryan's intentions are immediately apparent, and once Harrison hears a shriek, he acts upon it. This kickstarts a gritty scene between the two men, which spills out into the bathroom as they brawl to Ryan's death. Harrison has the opportunity to stop until Ryan tells him,
"There's plenty more where she came from,"
which leads to Harrison bludgeoning him to death with the basin of the toilet. And yeah, man, Ryan could have been left off the hook. Harrison could have just left with the girl, but no, Ryan had to be snarky, had to leave this super like backhanded comment, very sassy, smart aleck comment, and it ended his life, led to his demise. In typical fashion of this universe, there's violence and death, and it takes just 20 minutes into the new show for that to happen, only this time it's his son delivering the final blow, which is awesome. While Harrison might have decided he didn't want to be like his father, he did learn some key lessons as he perfectly cleans the crime scene, perfectly, I don't know about that, before dismembering Ryan's body in the same way that his father would, in what is a grotesque scene that brings the darkness the spinoff shows are notorious for. Really bringing that forth, really just putting the hammer down like this is what this fucking show is. I don't know if you guys remember, you guys better not be forgetting this. This is what we fucking do. However, Harrison leaves a speck of blood behind on the ceiling, a rookie error Dexter wouldn't have made at this point at least. It's probably an original sin type of error, but not now. He throws the body into trash bags, which gets collected and dumped, which is where Ryan's death is ultimately reported. And then obviously the game of cat and mouse begins from there. Angel Batista returns with an important set of questions, trying to play catch up with Dexter, which is a really cool moment. I really like Angel Batista and his inclusion here, and they obviously kind of tease that with the trailers and the teasers, and that's pretty awesome. Another returning original character makes their presence known in the form of Angel Batista, obviously, but this time it isn't a hallucination. He's the only legacy character that has kind of come back in the show as a side character as of now. Now, I don't know what they plan on doing for the rest of the season or the series, however long this series is going to go. I don't know what the fuck their plans are with this universe. I'm just taking what they give to me. After believing Dexter to be dead after the original series, he had some explaining to do for his actions, from taking Deborah out of the hospital to faking his own death. Batista's obviously getting very suspicious, and we know he's a great police officer, so he catches up on it pretty fast, I feel like. While he attempted to do that, Batista dropped the bombshell that Angela had hinted Dexter was the Bay Harbor butcher, only for her to backtrack. He also recalls that Maria LaGuerta told him in confidence she thought it was Dexter, while remembering that Dokes also questioned him, which is when Dexter pretends to need more rest. Batista put plenty of pressure on, and he also revealed that he sorted it out so that Dexter can use his name again, likely because he can't convict a dead man. Gotta bring him in. However, it isn't just Dexter being chased down for his crimes, as the New York Police Department goes through the evidence of the body bags as Ryan's remains are found and begins the hunt for his killer. And it's a really dope dynamic, the fact that Dexter and Harrison are both on the run, like father, like son, which is like a common kind of trope I think we're gonna see with this season. It doesn't take long for police to appear in the Empire Hotel, which is when Ryan returns as a figment of Harrison's imagination, with his conscience playing tricks on him. It's obviously psychological warfare, it's full of a lot of trauma. I think that's what the show really gears you for. That's what they like to go for a lot of the time. These aren't the only moments of hunting taking place throughout this episode, as Dexter learns of Ryan's death and how he dismembered the body, instantly deciding to head to New York in a bid to find him, and I do think it was awfully convenient how they kind of executed that. I will say that's probably one of the more weaker parts, and there's obviously some weird humor going on here that would work in the original show, but I don't know if it works anymore. Maybe the concept's getting worn out. By the way, let me know in the comments what you guys think of this show, because I'm kind of really going over the plot. Really should be considered a recap rather than a review, so let's expand the conversation in the comments section down below. Rather than waiting to see Batista, Dexter pretends to be in the shower and escapes, so the cat and mouse game begins for everyone involved. Dexter Morgan is back with a bang, of course. I think we can kind of take this time to give it a general review out, back with a bang. The show started off with a pretty impressive episode. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say it's like the greatest episode of television in the world, but I do think they started it off in a good way. My dog's toy back there, by the way. Bringing back this franchise after a seemingly perfect ending to his character was always going to be a challenge, and that's a mistake that a lot of TV show franchises make, is just keep on going, keep on milking the money, and it seems like they're going to be doing pretty well with this. The explanation behind how and why fans should care about his returning was always going to be crucial, but it was handled perfectly, I think. This is all about righting his wrongs and stepping up as a father, while also trying to avoid paying the consequences for his actions as a serial killer. The walls are already closing in on him, though, while Harrison also finds himself in a tricky situation after what was a tense fight scene. Even though his murder was done to protect protect someone, the parallels between him and his father continue here. Uma Thurman, my dad was talking to me about that. We weren't sure who that mystery woman was, but it is Uma Thurman. She's also introduced to this world where she breaks into someone's apartment, leaving a stack of money and a mystery invitation in a hidden space where different trophies have been kept, showing some driving licenses with the bloody cross on them. It teases future storylines. Dexter obviously has the mementos with the blood slides, and it looks like Harrison has driving licenses. It makes it clear that the show will also be pushing a brand new narrative alongside aspects of the past. And again, that's something that the prequel series is also trying to figure out, is how can we introduce something new? How can we wow some fans while also bringing back old elements? The episode had a lot of fun cameos and callbacks to the original series that fans are sure to love seeing, while the fast pace allowed things to flow perfectly between characters. There were some unique camera shots, great use of lighting, and the decision to feature a lot of well-known music was cool. Also brought some energy that made the episode feel different from previous moments within this franchise. However, it all still feels familiar in a positive way, and I think the show has started well with the serial killer world making an emphatic return. This universe returns with a bang. I do think they did a good job, and again, the music was pretty cool, to be honest with you. I can't remember all of the bands that they had. I think the Strokes was in there. The Peaky Blinders theme song, which my dad was kind of mentioning to me, I haven't watched that show, but he mentioned to me, was played there. Really cool stuff, really cultured stuff, really matches things together, and there's a net, as fucking always, in my basement. But with that being said, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Again, I don't really have time to do reviews. I kind of want to just recap what happened and kind of give my thoughts and like, oh, this is cool, oh, this is kind of weird, oh, whatever. That's kind of what I do. Check out my social medias. We stream every weekend. We do short form content every weekend. We have a lot of stuff. Tyler the Creator's dropping an album. Metro Boomin's dropping an album. Freddie Gibbs is dropping an album. Huge fucking week ahead of us.